his business. He was sold out for doing what he was created to do. There's a story about this young man, and he wanted to be very successful in life. And he went to this guru who was asking him, how do I get successful? What do I do to become successful? And the guru says, you really want to be successful in life? And he said, yes, I do. I want it bad. He says, okay, meet me on the beach at 4:30 in the morning. The young man, to his dismay, say, yes, I'll be there. He shows up on the beach at 4:30, comes in a suit, and then the guru tells him, walk out in the water. Walk out in the water? I'm dressed in a suit. You're supposed to be teaching me how to be successful. He says, you came here to be successful, to learn what it takes. Walk out in the water. The young man obediently walks out in the water. He comes to the water, is halfway to his waist. The guru says, go out a little bit further. So he takes a few more steps out. The water's up to his shoulder. Takes a few more steps out. The water's up to his chin. And finally says, come on out a little bit more. The guru at that point takes his hand, puts it on the head of the young man, and pushes him down into the water and holds it there. And just at the last minute, before the young man is about to pass out, he pulls him back up. And the young man comes up wheezing and whispering for air. Then the young man says, what are you doing? I came here to learn how to be successful. You're trying to make me drown. He says, no. He said, when you were under that water, what one thing you were thinking about? And he says, trying to get some air. He says, you will become successful when your destiny is more important to you than breathing. When you think about your destiny and what you were called to do, and it's that important to you, that's when the moment you become successful. But other than that, you were playing with it. And so we have to have that kind of mindset. And then finally, I'm not going to belabor, just wanted to give you all a little tease as far as what's in the book. There was a Spanish conquistador who, for the previous 600 years, many generals in foreign nations were trying to take the land of Mexico. They wanted to conquer it for its gold, for its natural resources, for its jewel that was on that land. And so country after country would make an attempt, and every last one of them failed. There was a Spanish conquistador, meaning conqueror, known as Hernan Cortez. He, along with 600 men, they go on their boats. They land on the shores of Mexico. And when they arrive, the conquistador, Cortez, he orders all of the boats that they arrived on to be burned. And then he gives them this speech, and he says, if you want to return home, it would not be in the boats that we came in, but it will be on the boats of the people we're about to conquer. When you have exhausted all other options, when your main thing is doing what God created you to do, that is when you will become successful. But I believe here in America, oftentimes, we got too much to lose. We got plan A and plan B. And oftentimes, when you think back in your life, when did you really make a change in your life? Is when your back was up against the wall and you had no other option. When did you stop spending? When they turned all the credit cards off. You didn't stop when you had a limit. You stopped when they wrote you, said, it's full, you can't use it no more. And so that's what we got to move to and go to. So I want to appreciate you all for coming out and sharing with us. I pray that you've been motivated and got a little tease as far as what's in the book. If you already have the book, buy it. So it would do wonders for us to see it show up. So thank you all so much. Do you have any questions? Anybody got any questions about what we shared? Anything you want to comment on? Yes.
Will there be a volume 2, sir?
A volume 2, we will see how God directs with that. We are got some other things in the works, some other projects as well. So we'll see how that goes. If this, not if, but when this becomes a bestseller, and if there's enough clamoring for volume 2, then we'll look at that as well.
Possibly staying motivated in your own thing?
Yes. Exactly. 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 Yes, ma'am. Yes, great question. This is my first book, my very first book. God has placed this in my spirit. And this book is the result of a 9-week sermon series that we did last September of 2013. We spent 9 weeks on this one topic, and then from that, God birthed this message out of us. Yes.
And how long did it take you to write that book?
The actual writing time was about 3 months. It took 3 months to write it. It went through about a 6-month editing process. So from the first word that I had written until but it was actually published was about 9 months. About as long as it takes to birth a child. Yes, ma'am.
Would you consider, or have you considered, making the book available as a class on a college campus, theology, philosophy?
That's a very good point. I had not considered that. But thank you. Thank you for putting that down. So we would definitely explore that. So can you write that down for me, please, and we'll look at those options.
ITC in Atlanta.
Right.
Is it possible an audio version for us drivers out there?
Well, that's another good thing as well. And now the sermons, 9-week sermon, we did have these up on our website for a long time. So one thing that I am considering doing is to, and I got this idea from another young man that I've recently met, and we're befriending one another, is he did something similar as well. He did a sermon series on a book, on the topic. He wrote a book behind it, then he created CDs to go along with the book. So that is something I'm considering doing as well. Yes.
Would you consider a devotional?
Keep me real vision of this Amen. So that's another consideration. That's another consideration. Because I think a devotional would actually be good. Because you have to keep it in front of you. You got to keep it in front of you. Because it's, one of the things that I say in the book is that when we start talking about doing what we were created to do, one of the first things that people say, they say two things. One, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. And so what I say is, you do have the time. You may not have the money, but you do have the time. And as busy as we are, because even while I was doing this, my schedule was very hectic. But I committed to do this. I said, every day I'm going to spend some time working on this book. Some days I would only write 2 sentences. Other days they would turn into 2 pages. But I made a commitment. My wife is witness every day. Some days not getting home maybe till 12:30 at night, I would go in the office and still write. And so you have to be that disciplined. You got to make that commitment toward it. And so whether it's a book or a project, a business, you want to work on your marriage, whatever it is, spend time every day doing it. And those names that I mentioned, Phelps, Jordan, Jackson, all of those names, Williams, Gates, they spent every day working on their craft. And that's what made them successful. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I thank you all so much for your time. I thank you for your support, for coming out and spending time with us this afternoon. So let us show this bookstore that this book should be up on the front out there when you first walk in. So again, I really appreciate it. If you get it, come and stand in line. I'll definitely give you a signed autographed copy of the book. Amen? Thank you all so much.